whoever shows up. Welcome, everyone. For everyone that joins and watches after the fact, I'm going to go ahead and do our intro real quick and get this podcast started. So welcome, I'm your host, Shane Kipper. You're listening to the Know Your Worth podcast, formerly known as the Power of Collective Genius. In this podcast, we talk about love, prosperity, and abundance within. We're here to grow and expand ourselves from the inside out. The goal of this podcast is to help dive deep into the depths of what makes our souls tick, to find what truly makes us happy, and to reprogram the beliefs that we have that so eloquently shape who we become. I want you to think about this question as we dive into today's episode. What would it mean to you if you could let go of your past, develop a new self-image, and step into the fullest potential of yourself? How would life be different? I want you to know that I'm with you. The greatest version of you is knocking, and I know that you have within you the ability to open the door and embrace it fully. I'm here extending a hand if you will reach out and grab it, accept it, and walk this journey with me. You don't have to do it alone, and in fact, you never really have. So, that is kind of the intro for this podcast.
Very nice. I like
what do you think?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, nice. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of in the molding and shaping of it. But today we have David Henningfeld on the podcast today. Thanks for joining me, bro.
Yeah, you got it.
It's good to have you.
Glad we could work it out.
This is like the fourth episode of this podcast. So I'm pretty excited. You're the third interview that I've had, or fourth. I've done one with another guy twice. So
okay.
This will be pretty good. I really enjoy having the interviews because I'm able to get a different perspective from, different points of view on different topics, and so that's kind of what the point of this is. So before we got started, we took some kava. It's Kava Kava. What is Kava Kava? I don't know. It felt pretty interesting, and I feel good now.
Do you? Yeah, you noticing
Yeah.
a little bit? Okay, yeah, it's just an herb. You can get in a tincture capsule. You can take it as a kind of a relaxer. Just helps you to really calm down. I noticed the big effects. I was going on a drive once, and it was a long drive. The elevation was kind of changing through the mountains, and I was like, oh yeah, I have this in my bag, so I'll pull it out, and I took some. I really noticed it there, and it really, I got anxious for some reason driving, and I really noticed that it just chilled me out a little.
So, is it an herb?
Yeah.
Do you know how they make it?
I think they use the root of the herb, and then they'll probably grind that into a powder, and then for a tincture, they'll put it into alcohol. Let it sit for probably a month or so, 3 weeks. Then then it's just extracted. Take it from there.
And you can get it at the Boise Co-op. I don't know where else you can get it around the world, wherever you're watching, but
Yeah,
it's like a little dropper, and you put it under your tongue, and like my mouth was numb for a minute, and
the flavor's terrible.
The flavor's terrible, but it definitely, I definitely feel loose. You know what I mean? It is kind of like a calming effect, and I like stuff like that because I'm not. I don't believe in like big pharmaceuticals.
Absolutely.
Using alternative drugs for, if it's anxiety or sleep or, ADHD or whatever, using an external source, although that is still a little external, but it's a natural base. It's derived from a plant.
It's more full. It's more encompassing. So that's what I like about herbs is they have multiple constituents, where a pharmaceutical has like one specific chemical in it, and the full effect of an herb, they all work together to have the effect that it does, and it's a little more balancing, I guess, in the body.
Yeah,
that's what I like about it.
Yeah, and it's not like a chemical.
Right. Yeah, it's just the plant.
Yeah. Okay. So before we got started, we were talking a little bit about like your journey. I don't know too much about that, like, because I knew you from a few years ago. we never were like great friends at that time. You know, we both had our separate parties, our posses or whatever. And
I had a posse of one.
Huh?
Posse of one, I think, in high school for me.
Yeah.
I didn't explore much.
Yeah.
Speaking of Adderall, though, I was stuck on that in high school, so that was fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've taken that recently. But yeah,
I'm not stuck on it. I was prescribed it, but I should clarify that. Yeah.
Prescribed it, but most people think that they have to have it in order to function.
No, I couldn't function when I took it. Yeah.
When you took it, you couldn't function?
No, it was terrible.
Even though that's what they said you needed.
Yeah. And then I went through rounds of trying different like alternatives, Concerta and Adderall and the different types. Each time it would have the same. It gave me anxiety. I was bad. I would be walking. Yeah, I'd be like walking by a door, and before I'd open the door, I felt like every time that somebody was gonna slam the door and break my face, and I couldn't. Or I'd walk through grass and constantly think about bees stinging me.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was bad.
That's like a bad trip.
Yeah, an 8-hour day of school like that. Yeah, or drinking a water fountain. I thought somebody would play a joke on me and like slam my head into the metal, break my teeth. The things I think of were crazy. I don't know why.
That's brutal.
It was brutal.
Because I've taken it plenty of times, and it's given me anxiety. It's like, just like freaking go, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That kind of anxiety. It's never like someone's gonna like beat my ass, you know, or fuck with me. But I could totally see that, and especially as like a little kid too. I can only imagine.
Yeah, it was not good. It started off when I first started taking it, that kind of effect, where it did kind of feel good. I got more work done. I focused better, right? Focused on what they wanted me to focus on.
Right.
That's how it started, and then a little under a year probably or so, and that's when I started having that effect. No matter the kind they gave me. But yeah. So and then I just tricked my parents and like hid it under my tongue and spit it out the window on the way to work or school every day.
Jeez. Well, that's good that you were conscious enough to make that decision for yourself, because it fucks a lot of people up.
Yeah, it does. I
know a lot of people that like have gotten really sick because of it.
Sick?
Yeah. Just this girl I know, not gonna name any names, but she just has a lot of internal problems. I don't know if it derives directly from the what are we talking about? Adderall. Directly from the Adderall. But I mean, overall, her well-being just isn't that great. But she's also taken a break and definitely gotten a lot better.
Oh, good. Yeah, good.
But I mean, that could be all the other stuff she's probably taking too. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I've never heard like a lot of really good things about it. I've even heard that it's one molecule away from being methamphetamine.
I've heard that too. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's just legal meth.
Legal meth.
Yeah. Prescribed by doctors.
Most of the people that get it anyway, like, crush it up and snort it.
That's true.
You know what I'm
saying? I think I used my prescription to sell it once for a while.
Oh yeah, most people just get it because they get it for $5 and then they sell it. Know lots of people that do that.
Yeah. As of years ago, I stopped just because I wanted to. I wasn't really for promoting that, so it's
right. Yeah, I get that. So like, so you were prescribed Adderall. What other things do you feel like, you know, like I had mentioned in the beginning, we both had our own posses or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
And at that time, I know for myself, I was very insecure. I I was in that group because they were typically with girls, and I was trying to be something I was not.
Yeah, that's like high school right there.
Exactly. Lots of drinking, drugs, and just dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? But there was a turning point in my life that helped me kind of see the light, and then I just went towards the light.
Yeah.
So what was that for you? Like, what?
That was a start when I was 20, and so I really, it was my birthday, and I had just turned 20, and my friend came over with some mushrooms as a surprise.
Okay.
Yeah, and I took about half an eighth, I think, and I sat there and just waited for this experience, and then I started feeling all this gratitude. Was the first experience for me on that.
Wow.
And just gratitude for everything, gratitude for anything and everything around me. And then there it was, it's interesting because they're all different after that, but even to this day I still get tidbits of clarity and insight from that original experience. So after the gratitude, it was, I had this massive flow of information coming into me, and I was trying to process it into English within my head, it was crazy. And the synchronicity from there happened. It was a beautiful experience, and then I ended up working with a lady that was Wiccan. And
I don't know much about Wiccan.
It's you could call it shamanism.
Okay.
Yeah, an old style of shamanism.
Yeah.
Very ritualistic though.
Hmm.
But so I was very open after that experience, of course.
Yeah.
And she introduced me to that, and I touched on that for a little bit, and then I dove into stones, and that really kind of started to help me become aware of my energy and my field and my space around me. And I've continued to explore stones, but from there I just kind of dove into everything I could related to anything that I had a drive for. So chakras or Reiki or meditation or and then that was it. And then from there, I've just always been expanding since then.
Right.
And really, I say a lot in that moment that I really found myself.
The first time you took shrooms?
Well, yeah. I mean, that was like a trigger, and then a lot of what I was doing after that too.
Right.
So I really came to know David and it was just like an epiphany. Like, well, yeah, that's me. That's what I want to be. Before that point, I had been. I weighed 185 pounds. I was on testosterone and all sorts of pro hormones.
I remember.
Yeah, I was really becoming out of touch with myself, and it was a really interesting time to find that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of like my little bleep of a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. No, and I vibe with that a lot because I went through kind of the same thing. I was taking steroids. I never was really into it, but I started it to kind of see what it would do. And then I got the negative effect of all of it.
Really?
I never got bigger, anything
Really?
like that. But I was also doing other drugs and drinking and not working out and not drinking water. So just, I don't know. It was an experiment.
You gotta do it right. I definitely didn't. There was a time when I didn't do it right. People thought I looked like Gerard Butler because I got so poofy. Like if you look at a picture of me in that time,
I don't even know who that is.
I don't even know who it is either.
Okay.
But if you, Gerard Butler.
Yeah.
Oh, he's an actor. He does Taken.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that guy.
Yeah, they thought of that. I don't know what that was about. But I had so much water weight all over me. From that.
Yeah.
I ate Taco Bell every day and ate crap.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I said, it was kind of an experiment, but I would say that no one should ever do that.
No,
steroids.
Unless it's like a medical condition, I think it's pretty helpful. I did get one really interesting benefit from it that I've kind of been grateful for. My shoulder had a problem, and I had heard of doctors giving shots of testosterone into different parts of the body to help heal them, like a joint or something.
Yeah.
So I tried it in my shoulder, and it fixed it.
like done?
Yeah,
You don't have any problems?
Nope. Since then, I every time I do a fly or that kind of movement, I'd have this piercing pain.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do a fly, but I just tried it out. So that was interesting.
Because I recently was in a bicycle accident. I got hit by a car.
I remember you talking about that, yeah.
And so, like, I have kind of a knee problem a little bit, but I also believe that I can heal it, right, in my mind with meditation and sending it love.
Of course you can.
But I wonder if a little bit of testosterone would, like, speed up the process, you know what I'm saying?
It may. I don't know where exactly you'd inject it down there.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just going to go with healing it with my mind.
That's good.
Yeah, because, like, for me, I, like, with psychedelics, I think there were multiple times that it was the trigger of, like, I've definitely felt a lot of gratitude under the influence of psychedelics.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot of areas of my life. Me and my dad used to have, like, problems all the time. We just did not click. And I remember I was sitting in my office. I lived in the closet of the office I was working at for a few months, and did shrooms, locked the door. It was pitch black.
Nice.
And just went deep, you know, and had a realization that, like, I was the problem. You know what I mean? I became aware that I was taking things personally. I was causing most, actually all, you know, just taking that responsibility. And so I took that responsibility, and that night I texted him and I was like, hey, I'm so sorry. Like, I cried and I laughed and I cried and I laughed. And all joy, you know what I'm saying? And ever since then, we've had an amazing relationship.
Wow, like that's a big realization. It's hard to really, like, take that deep of a responsibility. Yeah,
to, like, because, like, it's easy to put the blame on someone, which I was doing, putting the blame on him. And so there would never be any opportunity to mend that relationship with.
Sure.
And I'm sure we both were doing that. He was probably saying I was the problem, and I was saying he was the problem.
Yeah.
But that's not really the point. The point is, like, I had to take that responsibility. But the shrooms allowed me to, like, just become aware of it. You know what I'm saying? Become aware that I was causing the problem. And multiple other different scenarios that have really changed the course of my life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now, do you think that from you realizing that and taking action on that, do you think that he saw that example slightly and maybe changed a little bit too?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's great. Good.
Yeah.
That's cool. That I can spiral like that.
Yeah, I'm sure, like, yeah, I don't know. It's like ever since that day, it's like we both take the initiative now to say, hey, you know, I love you.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's like a big part of my life for most of my, like, teen years, right? I resented my dad. I would always think about how much I hated him. You know, I love you, Dad. You know what I mean? But it was a big part of my life I had to get over, and once I did, it changed so much for me. It not only allowed me to take responsibility for that relationship, but every other relationship, including my own, with myself.
That's great.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
That was probably the biggest turning point that allowed me to, like, take responsibility for my life and essentially know that I was in control, because that one small action of saying I'm sorry and taking the responsibility changed everything. So
how did it click in short? Like, because I know in experiences like that, there's like a, you know, there's a verbiage or something that kind of comes up that clicks per se. There's like a story that happens. What kind of was it for you?
I don't know, honestly, what the story was, because I didn't only think of that relationship. I thought of like my mom and my sister, and my grandma, and everyone that I had like real close relationships with, and I texted all of them too.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, I was like, Mom, I'm sorry, you know, crying the whole time, just full of joy. But I thought about every relationship and just how like, because me and my sisters wasn't good at the time either. And, you know, I had to take that responsibility. And literally from that point, those relationships have been phenomenal.
Wow, that's great.
And
That's
it's crazy
awesome,
that
yeah.
one, like, small, like, drug, they call it, can change so much for you. I see a lot of time, or a lot all over Facebook, and I don't know, like, where they're at in the process, but they're in the process of trying to make mushrooms legal, medicinal.
That's
So
thrilling.
absolutely, in like what is it called? Therapy,
Yeah,
therapeutic.
Or like
So clinical,
Yeah.
exactly. So I've even seen where they have like rooms where they take you into it. You do have the experience, and I mean, I've seen side effects that last up to a couple weeks where you feel just so much better.
Yeah.
You know, the depression is gone. It just cures so many things, and I agree with that. It's cured depression for me,
Yeah.
insecurity for me, and so many things. It just blows my mind how like buried it is, or shunned, or
It's really crazy. I
Yeah,
remember
so-
how I felt about it before I had never done it. Is I like had this like grungy, like just from because it was so hidden and so like it'll kill brain cells, it'll do all these things, and it just was this bad idea that I had about it. But it really is such a deep medicine, and I have such a appreciation for it.
Yeah, and I think that's another key point too, is like the appreciation for it. Because when I first started doing psychedelics, it was in the party scene.
Oh yeah, that's totally it's totally hard.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be taken seriously, because you know you can do LSD and mushrooms or whatever the psychedelic is and not have any real intention other than to just be fucked up with your friends. And not get the true value out of it.
Yeah.
I started doing it by myself. That was a big change. And like setting the intention before even going into the experience of like,
that's huge.
You know, this is my goals. I literally will write out my goals for what I want to know, what I want to figure out in this experience, and a lot of the times I'll get what I ask for.
Nice.
You know,
I was about to ask, do you hit all those? Do you hit all those marks, those bullet points that you write out?
For the most part.
Okay. Because I've done that, and I'll usually I'll start off at like 1 or 2,
Yeah.
and then the whole this whole journey goes in its own direction. It's guided per se, but
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely get the intention that was originally set.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you don't really get to control it too much.
Well, sure enough, if you try to do that, it'll just go sour.
Yeah, you gotta just relax and let it happen, and understand that you're on something. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, it's important to set the intention though, and let it be like a medicine or something that's going to help you either get through something or let you know something. It's you know, just it takes the blinders off almost.
Yeah.
But you know, you can set the intention, but it's going to go all sorts of different ways.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it.
Right.
You know, you hit all sorts of different angles and dimensions.
Yeah, and that's how you can probably have a lot of the breakthroughs that we are able to get by just coming at that different angle or getting that. There's a guy. What's his name? Kalindi Ely, and he's nuts. He does I think he's at 25 grams right now.
I don't know how much that is.
An eighth is 3.5.
Oh, really?
A full eighth, yeah.
Okay.
So he's really into the deep exploring of it. But I don't know what my point was with that, but he's got an interesting perspective on it. He's worth a look.
Yeah. Wow. That's like, what, 4/8? That's probably more than that.
What, 4, 5, 5? Even if he's doing 20, so he's doing 21, it'd be 7/8. Or no, it'd be 3.5. I don't know.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I mean, I guess you got to work to that. But I'm sure there's a totally new level to that.
Yeah.
I mean, the most I've done is an 1/8. But it's that, I think there's a point where you have to take enough to get to the point where you almost let go of yourself.
Yeah.
You let go of the ego. You step out of your body and understand what you truly are.
Yeah, and that can be painful.
Yeah.
Just for anybody who hasn't experienced that. It's not like you can take this medicine and you just are able to do that. You gotta work to get that. That's not easy. Just the ego is strong and it will fight.
Yeah.
And it'll be there still when you come back. But
yeah, I mean, I think throughout the whole process, you like face those demons, and that's what it's really about. A lot of times, is like facing them and like becoming aware that they're even there. A lot of times, like with my dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was a demon that it was hard to confront. Although I had the ego when I was still there, but the light was shown on the problem. So by the time I was done, I could take that knowing and decide if I want to change it or keep things the way they were.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it kind of is. Maybe you're not changed, but your awareness is changed. And so what you do with that new awareness is what creates the change.
That's what matters, yeah. You can take them all you want and see cool colors and create beautiful fractals on a wall and walk into the fractal and find a new world. But when you come back and you finish, it's what you do with it. It's not the point to take it all the time just to see that we're here in our body. This is our little suit, and we're in a big old we get a
little skin suit.
We get to do what we want. We're in our own game per se.
Yeah, it's our own reality.
Yeah.
Something I think about when we talk about that is like because we are the creators of our reality. That's Mackenzie.
Oh, nice. Okay.
We are the creators of our reality, right? If you want to think of it as a game, if you want to think of it as whatever, like anything that's happening outside of this room isn't real, right? It's just our figment of imagination that there's a camera and it's casting to us and it's projecting to other people, but is it really, are people really listening to this?
And then it becomes more created for us as we then go to look at it.
Absolutely.
Right? So as we solidify it per se.
Exactly. Outside of these walls, just ones and zeros, right? Like the Matrix.
Yeah.
Nobody else exists except for what's going on in this interaction right here.
It's kind of like the double. You've seen the double slit experiment.
The double slit experiment?
It's a quantum. So it was real quick. They like shoot little protons or something through this slit, and it's 2 slits. And so when they are not observing the slit, it goes into a wave. But it makes and they're shooting them to see a pattern on a wall. So they shoot it through the slits. It makes a wave. When they then go to observe it, it solidifies. It comes back down from a wave pattern into the 2 lines. When they observe it, that's the only thing that they change. Then they take it away and it does the same thing. It goes back into a wave. So just by observing the thing that brings it in.
Interesting. Yeah. Right?
That was a big one for me. It really blew my mind when I learned that.
Yeah, it's kind of like with space or really anything that we're trying to discover as you seek you tend to figure out those things. If you're looking for it, you'll find it.
Yeah.
With space, if you're looking for planets and whatever, space will continue. As far as we keep looking, we'll never reach the edge because we continue looking.
Sure. So we're continuing to create as we're looking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so amazing.
Well, I'm continuing to look for an alien. I'd like one to just come say hi.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get an alien on this podcast.
That'd be nice. I'd love to be a part of that.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna shoot it on the spaceship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. That would be a big one.
Yeah. So, but, yeah, man, I mean, I think, so you've gone through kind of a transformation. Do you think that it was specifically the shrooms? I know that was kind of a turning point for you.
It was definitely a trigger. It was definitely like a launch.
So what are you practicing right now that helps you? Because this podcast is all about self-love. It's all about like knowing your worth and how to use that to create results in your life. And so I know you understand that. So how do you use that? What kind of practices do you have that help you, just become a better you for your reality?
I definitely enjoy meditating. Of course, that's a big one for me. But it's not, meditation is, from my understanding and all of my exploring, it's not go somewhere and shut your mind off.
Okay.
They can be, by all means, sure, if that floats your boat. But it's calming and listening and watching what flows and seeing where, for me, it's just seeing where I'm at and what's kind of coming up within me and where I'm naturally flowing to, and then tweaking that from there. So that's a big one for me. I like that a lot.
So when you say when you're meditating, what do you do in order to calm yourself and listen?
I really like breath work to start. Yeah, just some really focused breath work.
Do you just like listen to your breathing, like deep breaths, hold it in?
Yeah, that's a really good start. So I'll take a breath, then I'll take a full breath until right as I get to the top, and I'll take a little bit more. I just push it just a little bit more, hold it for maybe a second, and then go out. And then on all the way down, then at the very bottom of the breath, then I push it out just a little bit farther. I think it's called Pranayama Breathing. That could be a bad quote, though. It may not be. Okay. But I do that, and I just really, I listen to that for a little bit, and that kind of guides me into hearing where I'm at. And, really, it's a good check-in to say, how am I doing, what's going on, what do I need to pay attention to or process?
Yeah, because for most of the day, a lot of people, like, they hold their breath because of stress. You know what I'm saying? And so they breathe really shallow and just like never really fully breathe in and then breathe out. So being conscious of that, I'm sure brings a lot of like life back into the body.
Yeah, completely.
Period. Because we are our breath essentially.
Yeah. I really I love meditating while I ride my bike too, because meditation to me doesn't have to be a hold still.
Okay.
And I've for a long time I fought with that and really like tried to do the thing that I thought meditation was, right? Like I thought I was supposed to sit there and close my eyes and be quiet and have no thought and just cut it off and just apparently find this little bliss within that. And that's for maybe some people do find that, and that's what makes them happy, but that has yet to work for me. So
yeah, I guess it's just finding what does work, because I think the act of fighting it, fighting the need to sit still or the external belief of what meditation has to be, I definitely believe that too. I do breath work a little bit, more along the lines of, have you ever heard of Wim Hof?
I think I've heard of it. I'm not familiar with what it is.
Yeah, Wim Hof is a guy, he just really amazing guy. You know,
Okay.
he climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in his shorts.
Oh, that's where I've heard of it.
I was telling you about that.
That's why I've heard
But you know, he has a breathing technique where you breathe in all the way, let it out, not all the way, but then breathe in all the way, and you do that 30 times. Then hold it, and hold it as long as you can. And then as you're about to like let it go, breathe in all the way again, and hold it as long as you can, and then do that 3 times, that whole cycle. But what it does is it oxygenates the body. It you know, you start tingling, and it's an amazing practice. But I would consider that along the lines of meditation. I kind of have that same problem of sitting still and just not thinking of anything.
Right.
So something I do too is guided meditation.
Those are nice, yeah.
I listen to there's one by Bob Proctor. It's the abundance meditation, so it's kind of like visualization at the same time. So you know, you're calming the body and visualizing what you want for your life, because you know, that's how you create results, is through your imagination.
You really need to, you know, see it and feel it.
See it and feel it, exactly.
Smell it, taste it, touch it.
Yeah.
You know, you got to do you got to involve every sense you can.
Right.
Yeah.
So you meditate, you do breathing techniques. What else do you do for your like self-love practice?
Self-love practice. You know, I don't know if I have more of a specific. I mean, I do things that make me truly happy.
Yeah.
There's
self-love.
Yeah, there's a gentleman, and his name is Daryl Anka, and he channels this is his thing. He channels a being named Bashar, and it's pretty wild information, but it's the information that matters.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, you can take some of it, leave some of it, but a constant idea that they throw out there is to follow your excitement. So throughout my day, I'll check in and I'll say, I can go do this, or I can go do this. You know, you run into a lot of those forks throughout the day of what you could be doing.
Yeah.
So I really try to listen to see what I'm going to do that excites me.
Yeah.
And that excitement, I've seen, will bring about the synchronicity to truly bring you what you're looking for.
Right.
And just following that passion and really listening though, because you know, you can be excited about going and drinking at a bar.
Yeah.
But is that really what excites you? Or is it the letting go? Is it the social? Because if that's what it is, you can find that somewhere else.
Find it somewhere else, or even you don't even have to drink to get it.
Precisely, yeah, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's
what's the guy's name you said that channels this thing?
the guy's name's Daryl Anka, I believe is his name.
Is he on like YouTube or anything?
There once was a time where he had a bunch of longer videos. As he's gotten more popular, he's moved that to being on his website, being subscription based. But he does have a good amount of little clips on YouTube that kind of give the idea of his point.
Because have you ever heard of Abraham Hicks?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. Esther Hicks, she channels Abraham. And Abraham is just abundance. It's the infinite talking through her. And she talks about, you know, what you were just making your point on, is that following the excitement, following like what feels good, like, because you really know that whether you follow what you think you have to do or you follow what is going to make you feel the best, typically and pretty much all the time, the one that feels the best is the path of least resistance, is what she calls it, path of least resistance. So essentially, when you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. And so by, you know, just different interactions and different circumstances and challenges, if it's not pleasing, you know that's, you know, not in alignment with who you want to become or what you're trying to achieve.
And there's a whole part of that too that has to be noted is you really, that's where you want to be aware of ego, and you want to be aware of a lot of who you are, because it's really easy to get confused for a second, to go after something that really isn't what you want. But if you listen, you'll always find it.
So how do you think you determine the difference between what is real and what is kind of a test, or like a carrot on the stick?
I think I try to listen to what is love and what is fear. And so I'll look at a choice and I'll say, okay, is that choice going to be out of fear? Not necessarily like I'm scared, or like it's scary, or is that out of fear? Anything involving the idea of fear.
Sure.
Or is that choice out of love? Does that excite me for that reason?
Right.
And that's, I definitely, by all means, can't always make. Sometimes I follow the fear. I do. And sometimes I don't. Most of the time I try not to. I try to.
It's almost like we're addicted to fear.
Yeah.
Fear is an addiction. Insecurity is an addiction. Like fear as a term in general, for whatever it could mean, is an addiction. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, wow, that's crazy, because I do the same thing too.
No,
I'm not always perfect. It's probably like 40% of the time I'm perfect.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
It's all the percentage there.
Yeah, I'm not like 50-50, but I'm getting close.
It gets better.
It does get better, absolutely. And it's I think too is like determining what you think is love. What is love to you? Like what?
That's huge. Yeah, that's.
How do you find love for yourself? Like, is it having good friends? Is it having experiences that, if it's out in nature, or whatever that thing is for you that makes you happy and joyful, that's love, determining what that is. So maybe like getting specific on what that is first, you know what I'm saying? Totally. And then you almost have like a guide, it's a map. You're walking through life, and okay, I could go to the bar, or I could go on a walk with one of my buddies out in nature. One is love, one is not. So you get that decision, and so you're typically challenged with those decisions.
Sure.
Life throws those at you to see, kind of where you're at.
Definitely. Now, not to say that the bar thing, it's funny how life goes. So you could be meeting somebody at a bar because that's where they're at in their life, and that's where they need to meet. And so out of love, you meet them there. And so it's a funny thing, But definitely I would think that most people would prefer or would be aware enough to go on a walk.
Yeah, and I mean, not to say that if you're going to the bar that you are fearful.
Sure.
Like I went to the bar like 3 days ago. We went to a concert. You know what I mean?
I went to the bar on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
I went dancing though.
Yeah. That's not the point. It's like what you go to the bar for is,
exactly.
Is whether that's the love or the fear.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably go on a walk to go do some drugs with your buddy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
sure.
That's also got a fearful decision in it itself. So, it really is about getting specific on what that is for you, and then feeling your way. And that's probably the key term, is feeling.
I've noticed that a big feeling for me for love is beauty. Beauty or gratitude. When I feel grateful and I'm in a really good state of love there, and when I see beauty or feel beauty, that's a big indication that I'm in a love vibration at that moment. And that's, for me, that's kind of what works.
Yeah. So, beauty can be a lot of things.
Yeah, it can.
So what do you like specifically pick out, or?
Like a big one for me for beauty would be, I made it to the top of a mountain on a hike, and I look across and I see the beautiful landscape, and that beauty was that vibration of love. And they're different words, but they're very similar. Or say I'm walking along and there's this just epic flower, and I want to just look at it for a sec.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some beauty. Or let's see, there's like, say, a lot of people identify love as within a relationship. So for me, the moments where I take a pause and I look at Michaela and I just look at her, and I'm just taken with beauty, because I am so in love with her. And I just, even were moments where she could think that she's not beautiful, like when she's sleeping and her hair's all cuckoo.
Yeah.
But I love it. That's, there's another spot for beauty.
Yeah. I think beauty too is also kind of a learned skill or attribute, because at the time in my life when I was like partying and very insecure, I had never noticed like trees or grass or the amazing blue sky, or taking the time to really feel the love that does come from nature, and just the things that I have, gratitude, beauty, gratitude, kind of the same thing. So it is kind of a learned practice.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just taking the time to actually look at a tree and notice its beauty, or look at the flower and smell it and be with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's been a big part of my life, is becoming aware of the beauty that is surrounded by me. I'm the same way with Mackenzie. She has her times when she's like doubting herself or whatever, in her beauty. But those are the times, when I think she's the most beautiful. You know
that's great. Good.
I mean, she's beautiful all the time, right? but yeah, absolutely. I think, just becoming aware of the beauty that does surround you and taking time to appreciate it.
Yeah. How do you think it's a good way to start doing that? If somebody's in a spot that isn't so easy.
I would say take a second right now as you're listening, wherever you're at, and appreciate the clothes that are on your body, or maybe you're driving in your car. Appreciate the vehicle that's getting you where you need to be, whether it's a piece of junk or a Lamborghini.
Sure.
It's the act of getting you there, and finding the gratitude in that. Or the person that's in your life that gives you love. Or there's so many things. It's amazing how many things there is to be abundant or grateful for, abundant for. You could appreciate your freaking nails.
Sure.
You could appreciate your teeth, your eyes, your knees that keep you walking. That's a pretty big one for me, because I hurt my knee. So I send love and appreciation to both of them equally.
It's funny how it's been a thing like that for me, like as I get sick per se, or as I get, it's funny that sometimes you don't need, but it has to get to that point before you do it. Like as I was sick the other day, I got out of it and was like, oh God, I appreciate my health. I love my health. I'm so glad I'm healthy.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's funny how that works.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta like almost lose the knee or whatever to be appreciative of what it's been doing your whole life.
Yeah. And then if you don't listen to that, I think you very well might lose your knee.
Yeah.
If somebody were to ignore that.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. Because then it's just you're not listening. You're gonna learn the lesson one way or another.
Wow. One of my mentors, Dr. Joe Dispenza, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's a quantum physicist.
No.
And so he does a lot of like seminars and stuff based on quantum physics and how our mind, the way we think and then feel and then react, essentially the creates a chemical that causes a reaction in the body. And so that's kind of him, right? But his story is he was doing like a marathon. He was, or a triathlon or something like that. And he was on the bicycle part of it and got hit by a semi and it broke his back. And so he decided that he wasn't going to get surgery because they wanted to put like steel rods in his back. That's probably a really extensive surgery that you'll never recover from.
Yeah.
Fully, at least.
Sure, there's a lot of risk in that kind of surgery.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so he decided, he was going to lay in bed for 6 weeks, I believe it was, and reconstruct his vertebrae with his mind. And so he meditated on literally his spine reconstructing itself, and within 6 weeks or 6 months he was walking again back on stage.
No surgery.
No surgery.
How about that? That's
no
awesome.
medical attention.
That's
And
great.
so that's just an example of like what our minds are capable of, right? We're able to I'm able to heal my knee. And that's why I do it this way. I don't need the medical attention. I can send the love to my knee. I can send the love to my body to heal the cold or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of like sicknesses are caused by resentment or it's dis-ease within the body. You're holding on to something, and so by letting it go, then you're able to get over that sickness.
Yeah, totally.
If you don't have to even hold on to anything at all, you don't ever get sick. You know what I mean? Whatever that means, like there's multiple different variations, but just like letting it go and whatever.
Yeah,
so
sure. I mean, it's pretty well known that if you're just to dumb it down a little, it's pretty well known that if you're stressed, you're gonna get sick.
yeah,
It's kind of the same idea if you, in a more complex way.
no, absolutely,
Yeah.
directly. And it's funny because I get allergies,
Mm-hmm.
and I think allergies is attached to something. I'm still trying to figure it out. Like I can't breathe. It's pretty bad.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like my nose is congested. I actually have this spray that clears it right up, and that's why I'm able to talk right now because I took it right before we got on.
Good.
Otherwise, I'd be like, like nasally, however you say it.
It works for you.
But I got to figure out what that is because it's always directly reflecting something. You know what I mean? So in the process.
Good. You're good.
Yeah.
Way there already.
Yeah. That's pretty good, man. We're up almost at an hour.
Are we really?
Yeah.
Fast hour.
Yeah, it just goes by. It's talking about cool stuff.
I know. It's nice when it gets in the flow.
Mushrooms, abundance, gratitude, sickness, curing it.
Yeah. That did go quick. That's
Yeah.
good. Well, that was a fantastic conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate everyone that tuned in. Dawn, thanks for being here. Mackenzie, Peyton, a lot of you actually got to join us today. But that concludes today's episode. It's pretty good.
That's great. Yeah, love, not fear.
Love, not fear. I like that.
Take your choice.
That's the episode name.
Oh, all right then. Cool.
All right,
Sweet.
bro. Thanks again. We're
Thank you,
out.
Shane.
Peace.